The monkey's in the tent. The monkey's in the tent. Stony X Simps, beer for rent. The monkey's in the tent.
Just repeat to yourself, hey, it's just a show. I should really just relax. For mystery science theater 3000.
Welcome to Journey into Mystery.
Yes. And before we start, I would like to acknowledge a grievous error on my part on our last installment, when I said that we probably weren't going to hit a Netflix episode until, a couple podcasts later. I was wrong. You're getting double your monkey. We're going back-to-back monkey.
Some sort of spider monkey. 8 limbs just skittering out everywhere.
Yes. Spider Monkey from the makers of Human Centipede.
Ugh. Okay.
Which is kind of funny, because you were mentioning that you were very confused by this movie.
Yeah. What this movie feels like is it feels like somebody is making E.T., but instead of an alien, you have a semi-talking monkey. And instead of a child, you have a greasy carny.
He's not even really a carny. He's not in your traditional carny sense. He's just some greasy guy.
Well, grease is certainly involved.
Yeah,
one way or the other.
I'm not arguing the greasy part.
Yeah.
Markov is very greasy.
Yeah, he's a greasy-looking fellow. This whole film is greasy.
Yeah.
Just dripping with the 70s.
There's a couple reasons for that, and part of it isn't just the carnies.
Yeah, and the thing is like the whole thing seems like it's trying for whimsy, and instead all it gets is dark, cynical depression.
Again, there's a very good reason for that.
All right, well,
let's get into this. The film's director is where's my tab? Oh, I'm professional. Here we go. It's one Al Adamson, who, aside from Carnival Magic, pretty much did nothing but schlock B-movie horror exploitation stuff.
Oh. Gravy, spitty
movies
type
like
stuff.
Blood of Dracula's Grave,
Satan's
Sadists, Brain of Blood, which actually Cinematic Titanic tackled under the retitle The Oozing Skull.
Okay.
I Spit on Your Corpse, Blazing Stewardesses, Black Samurai. Carnival Magic was his second to last movie.
Okay.
So you can see why this movie kind of fails at whimsy and gets really dark at the end.
Yeah, the whole thing is like... because that's the other thing, is that instead of government scientists, rightfully quarantining a vampiric space alien, this has a university professor who goes from mild curiosity to vivisection in 20 seconds.
Yeah, Dr. Mark McKinney there. I swear to God, he looks like Mark McKinney from Kids in the Hall as a character. That is the fakiest looking real beard I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes right to vivisection. Although, speaking of vivisection, Al Adamson, when I was looking him up, he, I will just read the Wikipedia thing straight here at this point. Al Adamson was reported missing in 1995. 5 weeks later, after law enforcement officials discovered his remains beneath the concrete and tile-covered floor where his hot tub once sat in his home, his live-in contractor, Fred Fulford, was arrested in the Coral Reef Hotel. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah.
He got bonesed.
Yeah. And this crew, and I was just kind of skimming, and the producer, Elvin Feltner, has a similarly interesting life. It has not ended grisly.
Oh, thank goodness.
Well, okay, it ended, but near as I can tell, it did not end grisly. In that apparently he owned a handful of TV stations.
Okay.
And apparently, it was just a bunch of independent television stations that ran like Who's the Boss, Silver Spoon, and a bunch of Columbia Pictures TV shows.
Right, right.
And he ran behind on royalty payments, but kept doing it anyway, and then got involved in a gigantic lawsuit with Columbia.
Okay.
That Columbia won.
Oosh.
And then Feltner appealed, saying a jury should handle this. And then apparently the Supreme Court looked at it and went, no, a jury shouldn't look at this, and also you actually owe Columbia more than you originally had.
Uh-oh.
After the remand and the jury trial ordered by the Supreme Court, the jury awarded $72,000 in statutory damages for each of the 440 works infringed.
Wow.
For a total award of $31.68 million, over 3.5 times the damages awarded by the judge in the prior bench trial.
Dang.
Yeah, and every court has basically rejected his saying, no, I don't know,
Yeesh.
Yeah, so this one was clearly cursed.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about living in a universe where the movie Carnival Magic had a curse, but yeah.
And the only star, the Markov, it looks like his biggest role, depending on how his biggest role. Well, okay, he was on Guiding Light for a while, but for about 20 years. But his biggest role outside of that is either going to be as a gunrunner in American Ninja, or as Clem in Rover Dangerfield.
Wow.
We got us. This is a
winner.
Yeah.
A depressing winner.
Yeah.
Good riff.
It's such a what? Oh no, it's. I don't want to talk about the mystery science portion of this too much yet, because we'll get into that. We got a lot to talk about there. Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we've been talking about our Netflixes, but this is probably one of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite, of the next Netflix seasons. And a lot of that is simply because of the movie. Movie choice makes a big... do you want to explain to the fine folks listening the concept of the Goldilocks zone in astronomy? Just so it's not me yattering the whole time?
Oh, yeah, sure. The Goldilocks zone is thus named. It's the space around a star in which liquid water is possible. And that is the area in which it is neither too hot nor too cold. It is just right.
Is it liquid water or just life as we know it? Or are those pretty well inseparable?
I think those are considered pretty well inseparable at this time. You'd have to have liquid water for life as we know it. And so you'd have to be in the area where it doesn't immediately boil away as it does in the inner planets, or freeze solid as it would in the outer planets.
Right. So there is very much a Goldilocks zone for movies that work as mystery science theater movies.
Yeah.
On the what I will call the hot end of the spectrum, this is what I was thinking about all day yesterday when I was driving.
Okay.
This is what I do to entertain myself on a drive. On the hot end of the spectrum of mystery science movies, you've got, probably at the extreme end, Manos, The Hands of Fate.
Okay.
Monster A Go-Go, The Creeping Terror. Stuff that is stiflingly thick with incompetence and lack of budget.
Yeah.
And just this side of not a movie. Because that's your contention, right?
Right.
That Manos is the...
Manos is the cutoff point. If you're less adept than Manos, The Hands of Fate, you have attempted film, but you have not succeeded.
Right. Now, on the cooler end of that spectrum, further out from the sun, you have, rather ironically, This Island Earth. Movies that do have a budget, do have competence, do have where a lot of what makes them fun is more cheesy anachronism.
Right.
Than, that special blend of incompetence. Right in the middle, in the actual Earth zone, as I'm going to say, where your pretty good corpsman lies.
Right. So, like, a cool movie would be something like the Hollow Earth one that was in the Netflix season, where, like, at the time, that would have actually been a big budget, impressive thing, and now it's just cornball because it was made in the 60s.
Yeah, and there was a lot of we just didn't really know better, and the technology wasn't there.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
My general issue with Netflix, it's not something that's big, but it's kind of a pervasive thing, is that I feel like the movie choices definitely run more towards lean heavily on the This Island Earth side of the scale.
Yeah.
And I am fully aware that part of that is inescapable because of the Netflix deal. I remember Joel had, in one of his update backer emails, talking about the movie choices, like, well, Netflix wants color, we need stuff that works with widescreen.
Yeah.
And that does limit your choices, but it does, mean you get more stuff like The Land That Time Forgot, and
Reptilicus.
some of the, like the wizard, the two wizard ones. Because I would put Deathstalker and, like, the Melting Man kind of towards the cool end.
Right, yeah.
They're not good. They're still not good movies.
Right.
But they've got a little more going for them. They're a little more watchable on their own.
Right.
And, but good old Carnival Magic is very much not. This is some good old fashioned. We got no budget and very little. The most we really have is some ambition and a chimp.
Yeah.
I know somebody who has a carnival. We can film in North Carolina where it's really cheap. It's actually in Shelby. I don't know if I've been to Shelby, but I've been close. I've got relatives I'd say are about half an hour from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I when I found out it was North Carolina, and then I was watching the movie, like, do I recognize any of this? No, but it could easily be where some of my relatives live right now. It all looks the same.
Yeah, it winds up looking not too terribly dissimilar from chunks of rural Oklahoma too. So it very much takes
rural areas pretty much all look alike. I've been to, like, chunks of New York and up north, and it's just like, wow, yeah, this, except for the accent, this ain't much different, y'all.
Yep, pretty much.
Do you want to know another fun fact about the movie, Trent?
Oh, God.
Do you want to know?
What is it?
Do you want to know?
Oh, man.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, what is it?
The movie, uncut, is just as long as the Mystery Science episode again! I don't know why that's exciting. It isn't.
No, it's not, but
I am desperately trying to inject fun.
Yeah.
But no, this isn't... Yeah, you're probably good. Go ahead, say what you were going to say.
Every time I was watching this movie, every time, the first time I watched it, and then again when I watched it with my girlfriend for this, I got this feeling that at any moment this was going to take a hard turn into hard R. Like, you were going to see, some greasy front boob, or somebody was going to get stabbed in the neck, or it was going to take, a really tasteless exploity route.
Alex was going to bite someone's face off.
Yeah, the chimp was going to maul somebody, or we were going to find out that there was something horrible with that guy, the PR boy, and the girl of indeterminate age.
Or the lion tamer was just going to go ahead and straight up let a tiger maul somebody, or eat the chimp,
or just shoot someone, just pull a gun and shoot them. The whole thing has this level of unspoken tension, and everyone comes across as the most 1970s of 1970s people, and you're just...
Well, it was filmed in 1980, so...
Yeah, but it's just, like...
Effectively the 70s.
They had a big warehouse of 70s left over, and they were just burning through it in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
rural North Carolina, too. So.
Oh, yeah. And so you're just, like, wondering, okay, now which one of these people in this carnival is the serial killer? Because I know there's going to be a serial killer plot.
No, it's just evil scientist, because evil, unfeeling scientist who goes straight to vivisection.
Yeah,
because that's what you do with an intelligent monkey, right?
Oh, no, yeah, because it's not like...
Just go straight to organ dissection.
Yeah, because it's not like you wouldn't be able to build an entire career out of studying the one animal for years and years and years. I mean...
Yes, you need to cut open its spleen to figure out why it can talk.
Nothing he needed to find out. He would not have gone to vivisection without having stopped at stopped at every other step along the way. X-rays would probably be a first step.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would take years to get around to it, even if you had someone who was just a complete, unrealistic sociopath. But
I mean, you'd think that you would want, to get a primatologist in, and primatologist, if that is in fact a real word.
I believe it is.
You would think you would want some expert, and you would want to study what the chimp can actually do under clinical conditions?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is we know the procedures that they have for studying chimpanzee intelligence. And they tend to involve a social setting with a group of chimpanzees, a group of handlers, and a whole lot of very non-invasive processes. Because mainly they want to try and see how much language they can teach it and so forth. How their thought processes work.
The chimp episode of Quantum Leap was better at it than...
Yeah.
And that episode had them deciding to do chimp tests by putting a helmet on them and then hitting them with 5,000 pounds of pressure with a piston to test helmets.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had crash test dummies way back when. Figured that out a long
Scott
time
Bakula
ago.
in a monkey diaper is fantastic television.
Oh yeah, well there is that. But yeah, the villain is just unrealistically evil. You would think like the rival Carnival trying to steal him would be more of a realistic thing.
Yeah,
but
there's a very mysticism equals good, science equals bad vibe going on here.
Did they ever explain like how he taught the chimp to talk?
I don't recall. I don't think so.
Also, the other thing is you would have the that guy would have been involved with everything because the scientist would have wanted to know everything he did to teach the chimp to talk.
Yeah.
Because if it was a technique
and you would
thing,
want somebody the chimp was familiar with because they'd be more willing to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, Markov doesn't want to do that because he's mysterious and he's sad about his wife, I guess.
Yeah. No. There's no one in this movie that isn't potentially a serial killer. And so, like, it goes without saying that everyone in this movie is kind of an asshole.
Nothing they cut really matters. Mm-hmm. I made a list of cuts, and most of it is magic routine stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of, okay, we've got some magic routine. They do the magic, box where they cut the lady into quarters and stack her weird. Mm-hmm. And it's clearly a dummy.
Yeah.
And she's just, And by the way, tricks like this aren't impressive in a movie where you've got where you're cutting between audience and scene.
Well,
if there's cuts, it doesn't make the trick any
right. Non-live performance magic is always death because it's just like that they can just accomplish it with trickery, and even if they can't, you can usually pick up on the gag if it's not designed specifically for television.
Also, none of the tricks, I mean, they cut a fair chunk, and none of them involve Alex. None of them involve the chimp. He's just kind of there in the back. I can't look. My foot. So much is cut, and in these acts, none of which involves Alex, and yet somehow this is like the greatest thing ever in this town.
The talking chimp thing I could see as being a moderate draw. But even in 1980, I think people would recognize the potential for a ventriloquist. But
yeah, and well, it's also just the movie repeatedly when Alex is later kidnapped.
Yeah,
they go on about how somehow not having an Alex show tonight has killed the attendance. No. Look, I've spent more than enough time in areas like that, where if you have a carnival with rides and bad but delicious food, you're gonna draw a crowd.
There's literally nothing to do.
Yeah, there are vast swaths of nothing out there.
Oh,
like you can drive for half an hour and mostly hit, farmland until you finally hit a major highway and get to shops and stuff. So, yeah, if you have a carnival, you're getting people. Chimp or not.
That's true even in,
they're going to want to see the tigers.
Yeah, Tulsa's a legit city, and we react to carnivals and shit like that.
Christ, I think there's been a carnival here up just north of San Diego for like a month now.
They set
in
them
a mall
up,
parking lot.
They set them up every fall in Sand Springs, and people flood out to them.
Oh, yeah, the North Carolina State Fair basically shuts down a significant chunk of just outside downtown Raleigh.
Oh, man, the Tulsa State Fair is crazy big. But
it's just this side of downtown and the NC State campus, and there are sections you just avoid.
Yeah.
Like, you avoid sections of a major interstate loop.
Yeah.
Just because the traffic is so huge.
But the movie's playing on this tired old trope of the failing circus as metaphor for the passage of time.
Mm-hmm.
And the MST-3K version does not show a lot of what's going on in the act, so I assumed that there was just like boring monkey act being cut, but
yeah, it was just a bunch of filler stuff.
And why, when you're making a movie with a dubbed monkey, would you make the monkey's voice something that you could just assume was a grumbling ape? Why'd you make it plausibly deniable? I mean, this is made after Lancelot Link's secret chimp. We knew the technique. It's called peanut butter.
Yeah. When the chimp never moves its mouth.
Yeah. You give the chimp some peanut butter, it makes a bunch of lip flappy motion, and then you dub on a voice that sounds funny.
I'm not sure how sedated that chimp was, because usually you can get him to show a lot more excitement and expression than that.
Well, that's, again, as I say, everyone in this film, and I'm including the chimp in the possible serial killers category.
Oh, yeah, they did cut a lot of the car sequence.
Of what?
Yeah, the car sequence where Alex steals the car and Missy O'Shea, the girl in the car.
That was cut?
Yeah, that was condensed.
That lasted for 3 years.
Yeah. It was a little jarring because they don't maybe we'll find that they do it a little more often as we get to some of the more action-packed episodes. But typically so far the cuts have been in commercial break areas.
Right.
And whole scenes. But no, here they sliced out pretty generous portions. I mean, there was a handful of redundant swerves in front of other cars.
I can't imagine that it would have hurt. Well, the thing is, the fact that I thought that section dragged as it was, I'm not surprised they cut now, but I'm just surprised that based on what I saw was a condensed version.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the thing is that, there's no consequences for that whole rampage.
No, no. You'd think the local law enforcement would have issues with, them letting a chimp just run free
Right. Well,
with no control.
and the chimp shows a bizarre tendency towards kidnapping.
And mischief and...
Yeah, and not like
Yeah, and,
fun-loving mischief.
as a chimp kind of would. They're curious little fellows.
Yeah, but
But...
his general reactions to everything, like the fact that when the girl screams, he's just like, man, be quiet. It just makes him come across like he's, legitimately some kind of killer. And this is not the first time this has happened. That's why Markov doesn't want him, out in the public.
Because he's killed, and he will kill again.
Yeah.
Yeah, Markov is... Oh, he is such an unappealing lead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
he's smug, he's... I mean, just even without taking the dude's acting and greasiness into account.
Yeah.
Just everything about him is smug and superior.
Well, again, it goes back to my thesis. In a less silly way, I would like what I mean when I say that everyone in this film comes across like a serial killer. Anyone in this movie could have been cast as the villain at any point.
Mm-hmm.
They all... It has the feel of a mystery where the mystery is never fully established. It's just like, which one of these people is it going to be? Is the lion tamer guy going to be a fake out? Because any one of them could be greedy, shilly, and greasy enough to horribly misuse this ape, or this ape might be a killer.
Any one of them could have a bunch of skins drying in their trailer right now.
But yeah, like, Markov himself could have been the villain at any given point.
Mm-hmm. Adventures of the Rue Morgue, Carney edition.
Yeah.
Adventures of the Rue Morgue... The Hanna-Barbera, that's the Hanna-Barbera version. It's the Adventures of the Rue Morgue, starring Alex the Chimp, who is inexplicably based on a 60s comedian. Take your pick, it doesn't matter.
Ha-cha-cha-cha.
Ha-cha-cha-cha. Give me your flesh.
Oh.
Now, this movie does... Oh, speaking... I missed a bit of movie curse.
Oh, no.
Because the riff alludes to this. But apparently, like... this movie was lost for a while.
Oh, yeah, the movie was lost. I remember that was in one of the better riffing bars where they just go off of the history of the movie as a joke.
Yeah, and so they didn't find a clean print of the movie until like 2009.
Wow.
So you can buy this movie on like a Turner Classic Movies DVD.
That's kind of what happened with Deathbed, the bed that eats.
Yeah.
Only that was being pirated extensively in Europe for years.
Yeah, apparently the DVD version has like cut scenes and outtakes. No, sorry, outtakes, trailers, audio commentary, and interviews.
Wow.
I'm fascinated, but I'm not $13 worth of fascinated.
Well, I do guess that it's what really takes to sell a movie is a story, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the story that's on the screen.
Yeah. The right movie can do a lot to make a Mystery Science episode really fun for me. Even if the riffing is mediocre to okay. And also, the right movie gives Mystery Science a lot to work with sketch-wise, and the sketches this time around are really strong.
Oh, I do. I did like the sketches this time through.
Again, some of them, they probably don't quite go as far as they should.
Mm-hmm.
Like the opening chimp sketch with Crow as the chimp. That's great.
Yeah.
Also, oh, I feel so bad about blanking on the guy who plays Crow right now.
Oh, God, I don't have his name memorized.
See, I know Baron Vaughn because I've seen him in other things. He was possibly the only character I didn't hate in Grace and Frankie.
Okay.
AKA fucking white people, the series. But in fact, we have got to look that up now.
Hang on, just
because
a
I
moment.
feel bad.
Let's see. All right,
Dude.
Hampton Yount.
Okay, Hampton Yount. Yeah, he is possibly what you humans would call Linbooba, berries that we make for wine. No. Hampton is probably the one who best slots into the role.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a very good mid-range between Bill and Trace's Crow.
Yeah.
He does a good job of blending them. He's got that really peppy delivery.
Yeah.
That really matches Crow. And he does Distressed so well.
Yes, he does.
I guess we're going to go... Well, let's move on to talking about, Netflix itself, the series in itself.
Okay.
Let's see, we've got, the cop sketch. The cop sketch is probably the strongest one, I think.
Oh, yeah, where they're going back and forth with the different calls on the radio.
Yeah,
what they mean.
It's snappy, it's quick, it doesn't overstay its welcome, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the one issue I have with the Crow as Alex sketches. When we get to Markov, it doesn't quite have the same punch.
Right. Yeah.
They needed to dig, and it's kind of the same with the parade sketch at the end. It needs that little more dig into surreal or weird,
mm-hmm.
or being angry at the movie.
Yes.
It just needs that extra little kick. But I mean, the parade is good. Although the parade also contains, we'll get to Mark Hamill. Don't worry. The parade contains this one segment that I am fascinated with. It's when we see on the screen behind Kinga and Max the not Jonah.
Oh yes.
And ignore that because it never happened.
Yeah, I'm wondering
what's going on there.
Now,
I haven't seen the full of season 12 yet. I haven't done Ator the Fighting Eagle yet. But I'm gonna bet they don't bring it up.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched Ator yet either. So
that'll be an adventure when we get to it.
Oh yeah.
But I find the very idea fascinating that Kinga had a previous victim.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't want to acknowledge what happened to them.
Yeah, that was
Maybe
interesting.
he escaped. Maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
It might also explain the bot's indifference to Jonah's fate.
It's like they're used to this.
Yeah.
It's like when
little bit of the GLaDOS going in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember when they come back from being energy beings and Crow's just been on the ship the whole time?
Yeah.
I remember him quite fondly, in fact.
Kinga and Max.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure about them. And this, again, has nothing to do with the performers, because I like Patton Oswalt.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I think what makes Kinga and Max not quite work is that Kinga has kind of a little bit too much dignity. And she's not as much of an absolute disaster in as funny a way as like Pearl or Clay were.
Yeah.
Because they were like truly pathetic human beings, and that's part of what made the whole thing work. I
feel like they're trying for some of that, but there's definitely some try-hard wannabe in Kinga.
Yeah, she comes across more neurotic than pathetic, and I think it kind of throws things off a little bit.
Yeah, one of Mystery Science's great strengths, especially, towards the back half of the original series, was that nobody in the show wasn't an idiot to some degree.
Yeah, that was a very welcome sort of thing. And Patton is so into his role and is like really obviously enjoying it a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And their energy levels are kind of weirdly off from each other, and I don't I think that kind of is causing some. They don't seem to quite gel together well. Is the thing.
Yeah, and and that's not really got anything to do with Felicia Day either.
No,
I don't have as much experience with her, but she does, she does good at projecting a character who is evil, but only just competent enough to pull it off, to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
She does that well. Like I said, I just kind of feel like.
Well, it's not that either one of them is bad. It's just that they don't work well together. I think they don't. They don't. There's certainly not the kind of sort of like the characters and the actors are not working. It doesn't match the kind of delicate dance that you had with Pearl, Brain Guy, and Bobo.
It doesn't match the kind of the dance you had with any of the Mad combinations. Because with Clay and Lair, they were partners.
Yeah, and
working on this idiotic thing together.
Yeah,
this was their stupid baby.
Right. and
then Clay and Frank, it was we don't need to talk too much about that. We all know how that dynamic turned out.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then
I'm not sure what brought Kinga and Max together.
Yeah, I mean, Max has a crush on her, but it has to be more than that for it to be satisfying.
Yeah, and honestly, that whole kind of ongoing plot line made me a smidge uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I maybe it's just because I don't really feel like it was necessary.
Yeah. The other thing is that those it's just kind of a tired trope, and it doesn't seem to be lampshaded very well.
Yeah. I think my biggest issue with Kinga as a character is I can kind of understand the concept of this is a character who is trying hard, wants to achieve the greatness of the past.
Right.
And is not good at it. I can see, she wants to be the queen of all media. She wants to revive the Mystery Science Theater brand and grab ratings, even though Netflix doesn't do ratings.
Right.
But there's still some kind of disconnect that's not firing for me.
Yeah.
There.
Hopefully they will break from Netflix policy and it will actually have an opportunity for them to continue to gel and expand.
Yeah. Yeah, I am kind of worried that we might not see any more of this on any new stuff out of Netflix just because of their 2 seasons. That's not going to reel in any new subscribers. Must have exponential growth every quarter.
Yep.
Yeah.
As to the particulars of the riff on this one, I liked it. The nature of the movie meant that they had to do a lot of more extended riffing like we do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
When we have to delve into our stored repositories of sketches and non sequiturs.
And they're pretty good at that, yeah.
Yeah, they interact well there.
I also deeply appreciate the Midnight Chili running gag.
Mm-hmm.
That's that delight. As someone who is egregiously nocturnal,
yeah,
and has definitely eaten things I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
In the very beginning of the AM.
I have had my own midnight chili moments.
Yes. That strikes a chord deep down somewhere just under the belly button. In that bad place. Mark Hamill in Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yes.
That's something I never thought I would see. Like it wasn't even like within the realm of wouldn't it be neat?
Yeah, it was just like, why would you even think that would happen?
Yeah. Then again, I also thought the same thing of Jerry Seinfeld, and I still wish it hadn't happened. Mark. I like that song that they do.
Oh, yes.
That is... That is also the name PT Mind Slap is great.
Yeah, PT Mind Slap. His whole thing is it's the circus where they tell you what you're seeing, but you don't get to see it. Which
because they clearly don't have the budget. Cough, cough. This show, cough.
Yes. Because they talk a whole lot about whatever performance that monkey's doing, but you don't get to see it.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sorry. I love it when the song ends and Tom's just like, oh God, too old for this. That feels improv.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping it is.
Oh,
it's one of those little weird moments that the show kind of needs a little more of.
Yeah, I've recently come to grips with the fact that my sense of humor is really odd. And
you don't fucking say.
Yeah, no, it's like, because this is the thing, you people don't understand. He makes most of my jokes make sense. In that he pushes them back in front of me and says, "Make this make sense." But I have this particular flavor of humor that I love. It's not the absolute random anti-humor. There has to be something to it that tangentially connects the randomness, that makes it have a certain sort of flow to it. It makes sense to my brain, apparently not to anyone else's, but
no, that is kind of our joke process. I will have this German of an idea, and I will bat it at you saying, "Trench this up some."
Yeah.
Find that bizarre connection that I can't make.
Yeah, and then I use whatever's wrong with my brain. I'm like an X-Men, but like one of the minor X-Men from the mid-'80s where they really laid heavy on those downsides to those powers. It's like, congratulations, you have you're indestructible, but you've got an external digestive system. Yeah, a starfish.
Congratulations, you can come up with the many monkey crimes of Mr. Zoobs as a concept. There you go.
Yes.
That's your superpower.
Yes, I photoshopped a couple of words to toot in an old Marvel Comics panel, and it's more successful than anything I've done on purpose. There's definitely a monkey's paw involved in my backstory someplace.
It's just monkey. Everything's
coming up monkeys.
Yeah.
That should be the subtitle for this one. Everything's coming up monkeys. Yeah.
Monkeys and sadness.
Oh, and beautifully, science to the rescue. People will go on about how chimpanzees are apes, not monkeys. But under the current cladetic system of categorization, all apes are monkeys. So all the jokes where you talked about an ape and called it a monkey are valid taxonomically.
You know what I kind of really adore about the movie's back half?
That it's
where it clearly
heading
takes
closer
place
to
at
the
somebody's
end.
bed and breakfast.
Oh.
And then the interiors are clearly a hotel that have been done up to be like a science lab.
You know what? It's funny because I literally went like straight from watching like one of the close to last episodes of Swamp Thing to this. And that's one thing that both of them have in common, but it's intentional in Swamp Thing. Like, they're in this little bayou town called Murray, and there is no science lab anyplace. So, like, the mad doctor that they've brought into town, who, Dr. Woodrue, who in the comics becomes the fluorinated man. Yeah. There's a lot of plant people in DC, and most of them are hilarious. Now,
but he's working out of a nice house.
He's working out of a bed and breakfast because, like, literally the people in town are like, okay, the rich local bad guy is like, okay, I got this house for you to work out of. Because that's what you got. You have like the house. You got the old fishing lodge,
Yeah.
and you got the abandoned cement factory, and that's basically it. Because nobody's putting up anything. Like, they would be worse. They're better off in the house than they are in that town's hospital.
Well, I mean, it makes sense that in this movie they'd work out of a bed and breakfast because the actual science lab would be, at a nearby college, and there ain't no way they can afford, to shoot there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Also, if you wound up going into a situation where it wasn't something like a bed and breakfast occupied by a... Can we just assume this guy's disgraced? He has to be disgraced in some regard.
Yeah, I mean, he goes, I'm not very popular. He actually says, something like that. My work is unpopular. Well, yeah, because you go straight to vivisecting monkeys as soon as they portray the slightest sign of intelligence. You literally ruin potential decades of fact-finding.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like... There are so many ways that they could have gone that would have made a better villain.
Like, do you work for the Umbrella Corporation?
Yeah.
Is this where Umbrella started?
Oh,
we found this thing. Let's find the dumbest way to ruin it possible.
Okay, so my goal is to create an immortality serum, and the first thing that we're going to have to focus on is the sprouting of a giant eye in your shoulder. Now,
to do that, we need to create giant biomes full of clones. To test this out, and then we'll use that to make commercials to sell the virus.
Oh, man.
Umbrella Corporation.
You know what Umbrella reminds me of? There was this terrible old movie called Freaks that was made by the guy that was not Keanu Reeves from Bill and Ted. And Keanu Reeves was in it, but he's never credited on it because he's above this thing now. And the villains in that movie...
Well, he's not. He just doesn't do them.
Right. Well, we don't associate him with that movie because he played the dog boy, and he deserves some dignity. But the whole thing, the villain in that movie, one of the funnier parts about that film, it also had some great makeup and puppetry. It was just like a stupid, gross out comedy. But the villain in the movie was EES Incorporated, which was called Everything Except Shoes. And the whole thing with EES was that they were involved in every part of capitalism except shoes. And that I've always associated Umbrella Corporation with EES because the whole idea behind them being called Umbrella Corporation is because they cover everything. They spread over everyone. And it also, the representatives of EES are doused in a mutagen and turn into a giant flesh shoe with a tongue for a tongue. It's very Cronenbergian. Which sort of fits what happens to the people at Umbrella, because they all wind up getting turned into giant mutant monsters with no skin.
Yeah.
Which could have been a better ending for this film.
Yeah. If the lion tamer had fused with his tigers to create a horrifying, human tiger golem.
Yeah, and then that could be fought by Alex, who would, use his chimp strength and dry wit.
Yeah.
To disarm it.
Because as the Resident Evil movies have taught us, Alex is better than everyone. I haven't actually watched any of the Resident Evil movies.
It's okay. You've absorbed them vicariously through Phaelus, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of them. I mean, they're not that bad as long as you don't do much thinking.
Yeah. That's the impression I get. If you don't actually think about the plot, you can enjoy some of the action.
Yeah, which brings this around to the other thing that I wanted to compare this movie to, which was Silent Hill.
Interesting.
Elaborate. Again, this goes back to my weird ass, sense of connections that makes my humor as broken and fun as it is. But going back to just the sheer oppressiveness of the whole thing, how everything's like really dreary and every scene seems to disappoint you in new and horrifying ways. And Markov...
She's becoming a woman. She's becoming a woman. You can't stop her because she's becoming a woman. Stop saying that.
Precisely.
That is... No, that never sounds right.
Yeah, that was one of the other things I kept expecting to happen in this film, because I was like, at any moment I expected carnage. I expected this to turn into something that was either going to air on True Crime or on the Hallmark Channel.
She's becoming a woman. She can't be your child bride anymore. Nah. Good.
But
I mean, even taking that away, the lesson: be heteronormative.
Yeah. But
That's
Markov,
our SJW content for the podcast.
Markov has this dead wife, and then after the wife's dead, he's put all of his energy into this chimp that can talk. And the chimp is doing sinister things and, kidnapping women and endangering people on the road. And he doesn't want to talk about it. And the entire environment is this creepy-ass thing. And at any moment, I expected a siren to go off and for everybody to start dashing indoors. And next thing you know, he's being surrounded by the monkey. And the monkey's also his wife. And it just... The whole thing has this just like opening bit to a psychological thriller Japanese game that never quite fires.
Instead, it's mostly just, there's actually a minor cutscene where he talks about how apparently he can't get close to his assistant who has the hots for him. Because he's still so in love with his wife. I do like there's a really I do like that good riff. Don't you think it's time you moved past this? Well, it did just happen last week, so no.
Yeah, because they never established
that was a well-delivered one, Jonah. You did good on that one.
Well, and it's a good point because they don't ever establish how long ago this happened.
Yeah,
we're not looking at a situation where it's like 20 years ago, and this is an excessive mourning time. It's just...
I mean, how long do chimps live, anyway?
Okay, hang on. Let me ask the Google.
All right, the Google. How long do chimps live?
In captivity, about 30 years.
Okay, so it could theoretically have been a while, sure.
Yeah, but still.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, oh my gosh, I'd forgotten about all the attempts at quote-unquote romantic interaction in this film.
Yeah, they cut there's like a tiny cut where you've got the PR creep and Bud / Ellen, who I think are supposed to be in their swimsuits. It's so badly shot you can't really tell because they're also like in bushes. They're actually in a very pretty spot by a creek waterfall.
Huh.
It's very pretty, but they're just kind of talking about how, oh, I don't know, I'm scared about the future. Well, Markov says that babies need... Markov.
Yeah, that whole thing was like, her name's Ellen, not Bud. Like, wait, was she being forced to be a boy? Or was this like, Dad's not, willing to let her go?
Dad doesn't trust women, so he thinks... he treats his daughter like a boy. That's kind of weird. And then she seems okay with it, but then all of a sudden it's not.
Because a 1970s Mego Dukes of Hazzard action figure acts her out.
And they get the passage of time in this movie is really suspect. Because they get engaged real fast, even for the South.
Yeah, they get engaged real fast, even for the South. And we have no idea, what ages either of them are.
That's a fairly good point, yeah.
Because
we can kind of assume early 20s, but...
Yeah, one can only hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say 2 weeks, but there's never really any sense. There's supposed to be a 2-week gap after Alex does his car rampage.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but that happens like what, 3 minutes after the car rampage sequence?
Yeah,
And how long does this carnival stay at this spot?
Yeah, that is another question. Because it is the same...
And where are the elephants that were in the parade at the end? We never see elephants.
Also, yeah, if they were a carnival that was having financial trouble, the elephants would be the first thing they would get rid of.
The tigers would have... I mean, he had like 6 tigers.
Yeah.
6 tigers is a severe money drain.
That's a whole lot of tiger.
That's a lot of tiger. That's a lot of food, a lot of security. That's... Oh, no, I don't have the insurance for that. You don't have the insurance for 6 tigers?
Good luck when one
I
of
don't
those
think
tigers
I want to.
inevitably
I don't like
eats
twirly rides to begin with, but I definitely don't want to go on anything you run, Stoney.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a creepy carnival.
Yeah.
Like I said,
when they just do the shots of the carnival itself, it's fine. It looks like every other carnival I've ever been to in my life. As soon as we start digging into the lives of the characters, I can feel the fog closing in.
And with the fog comes the sirens, and with the sirens comes Pyramid Head.
Yeah. And Pyramid Head's just, Mama, it's okay. Candler, give me a candy bar.
See,
I'm gonna give you magic powers.
They don't even give him like jokes to say or anything.
No.
Also,
the first part of the first time they do the act, the whole act is, I'm in charge. Yeah, you're in charge. Don't forget who's in charge. You don't get any ham. You don't get any ham, monkey. You're a stupid dummy doll. Oh, wait, I'm getting my movies confused.
Yeah, you are. I was like, wait.
I want some ham.
Yeah.
I want to see that crossover. Hugo and Alex.
Oh, man. And the other thing is they with Alex is that they can't decide how impressed people are by him.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they act like, it's clear that this is an intelligent creature that is responding intelligently to queries.
And who also has a mind link with Markov because Markov can read things that Alex sees.
Right, yeah, and he's got...
There is explicit psychic power going on here.
Right. So there's that, which would justify the whole setup that they've got here. You know,
where some scientist wants to... You'd still think he'd take that dude because you'd want to see, how the hell are you pulling this off?
Right. And then, but on the other hand, everyone else seems to react to it as though it's just a carny trick. Like he's taught the thing to repeat words like a parrot.
Yeah, and considering most of the rest of the act is pretty standard, carny magic stuff.
Right. So
also, boy, does the ADR do a job trying to make those small crowds sound like huge ones.
Oh, yeah.
I loved watching it just because you look and to get the crowd reaction shots, and there's a lot of shots of people looking very bored. A lot of kids are just kind of, can I go on a twirly ride?
Yeah. Oh, man.
No, this is a fun movie. Like I said, it's a way closer to the nice middle comfy zone of ambition, lack of talent and budget, and just weirdness. That's perfect mystery science fodder.
Yeah, and if you want to just stare into the darkness of the human experience, they've put it on film for you, and then there's robots making fun of it. What more do you want? What more do you want, people?
And this is kind of late in the series, so they're definitely gelling better. Mm-hmm. Or at least, the writing seems to be gelling better. I believe the first season, the riffs were recorded separately.
Yeah.
Which is why things still kind of feel kind of disjointed.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, I think it was season 12 was the first time when Barron and Hampton were in the theater doing the riffing with Jonah.
Ah.
The previously it was a sort of ADR deal.
Yeah, that would explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've learned is that it's way better when we're riffing directly off of each other and responding.
Yeah, we try and do. It's not always possible when you've got guests, but try and do it when you can.
Yeah. But yeah, that sure was a movie.
But no, the sketches are solid. It is good, solid Netflix mystery science.
Yeah, it's a great mystery science theater. This one I do recommend.
Yeah,
I recommend watching it.
There's a handful of Netflix episodes that I would say are definitely worth watching. Even if you don't want to do the whole thing, there's a handful of, and this one is absolutely one of them. I'd say like Cry Wilderness is definitely up there.
Cry Wilderness was good. I liked the Journey to the Center of the Earth one.
I'm not so fond of the British expensive ones. We'll get to that later. Although one of them does contain easily my favorite sketch of the Netflix seasons. But we're not gonna. I don't want to. Y'all, I'm sure y'all know what it is. But
yeah, no, I on the other hand, I love those like Technicolor '60s science fiction epics. And I know they're typically like it's rougher because they're higher quality and they're harder to get a good riffing out of, but just the fact that I enjoy those on the base level kind of helps with my enjoyment of the video in general.
Yeah, I'd say the first Wizards of the Lost Kingdom is solid, and probably Star Crash.
Yep.
But no, it's a good. It's up there in the Netflix seasons, and it's one that I could very easily, and I mean this as high praise, I could put this episode on and then not pay attention to it. It's something that I can put on to have as background noise while I do other things, because it's very hard for me to do one thing at a time.
Right.
Like the urge to do, like when we're recording this, the urge to go look up something else or clean the room is very strong.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
This has nothing to do with me being bored and everything with me just being imminently distractible.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, it's something that I could, if I could get this on DVD, I would absolutely plunk it in, because I still have a DVD player in my computer.
Right.
I would plunk it in and have it on just as background noise while I did other things. Can't quite do that with Net, because there's 3 of us in this house, and there's usually something on Netflix on one of the machines.
Right.
But no, it's a good, solid episode. Probably some of their strongest sketches.
And a mumbling chimp.
Mumbling chimp. I don't know.
Stab you in the liver.
That's a podcast. We're going to end it as chimps. I guess we're going to keep doing this. Well, I'm Greg.
I'm Red.
That's Trent. And you can watch more of our stuff on this channel, Isla Rangoon. We should probably try and do more podcasty setup type talk things.
Yeah. You know what I just noticed is it's a real short trip into Alex Jones.
Different.
Buy our lead-laced adrenal pills.
It's a different kind of poop flinger.
Good night, everybody.
Night. Hey, Pipples! Did you like that bit of nonsense? Well, then why don't you click like and subscribe and press that bell or whatever YouTube wants you to do?
You can also do us a big solid by joining our Patreon, where you'll get to join us for live streams, get early access to the newest videos, and other such things.